When it comes to the worlds of credit, there are two classes of people. There are those like me, Graham Stephan, the credit shofu, and then there's Dave Ramsey. Don't listen to Dave Ramsey. Listen to us. We know what we're talking about. When it comes to credit, Dave doesn't. So Avia, why are you talking about credit today? Well, that is because credit is extremely important. If you, my friend, ever want to get an auto loan, a mortgage, an apartment, and in some cases, even a job, a credit score is what you are going to need to build for yourself. First, let's talk about what credit is. Credit is basically a am I good with debt score. That is the one thing Dave and I can agree on. It is how well you manage debt. If you are given money, will you pay it back in a timely fashion with the terms that you and the lender agree to? If you do that all the time, then your credit score will be very good. What that translates to is that you are trustworthy. People can count on you to meet financial obligations and not default, foreclose, etc. On the flip side, if you miss payments, don't follow the rules, then your credit score is going to be very low. So there are many agencies that report credit scores, FICO, Experian, TransUnion, just to name a few. However, all use a very similar formula. Let me break it down for you. So your credit score is comprised of 5 different percentage points. The first one is going to be payment history. This simply put means you make all your payments on time. Whether you have a credit card, an auto loan, a mortgage, whatever debt you're obligated to pay, you're paying that every single time. In most cases, only the minimum payment is really required. Now, granted, you're going to pay a lot of interest, but let's say that you have a credit card bill of $600 and the minimum payment is only $35 and you only paid that $35, it will still be reported on your credit report as 100% payment history. However, you're going to be charged a ton of interest by the banks. Now, if you don't pay it at all, that's what's really going to hit your score. And 35%, that is the biggest percentage. You're really going to want to make sure you make all your payments on time. I personally have everything set up on auto pay, so I never forget about it. The next thing is going to be credit utilization. This is basically how much of the available credit you are using. So this is most applicable to credit cards when you're given a credit limit. So let's say you have a credit card with a limit of $1,000. If you use all 1,000 of those dollars every single month, that's a red flag. Credit score algorithm does not like to see you use up all of your available credit. They just don't. Typically, the rule of thumb is that you want to stay below 30%. So if you have a credit limit of 1,000, only spend about $300 per period. Now, if you're like me and you spend more than that, you always have the option of making a payment as soon as you make a charge to the card. You could just traditionally pay your credit card balance at the end of every month. Let's say you have a big purchase coming up of like $800. You need to put it on the credit card, but you can pay that $800 off today. You can just move the money from your bank account to the credit card and then pay it off right in there, and then it doesn't affect your score. You always want to keep that utilization below 30%. Now, it is important to note that the dollar amount is irrelevant. It's not a specific dollar amount that they're looking for. It's strictly percentage. So if you have a credit limit of $100,000 across all of your cards, because this is across all of the credit you have available, as long as you're under 30 G's, you're fine. It's all based on the percentage of your total available credit. Next up is going to be the length of credit history. This is simply just how long you've had credit. If you have credit for a month, I mean, they don't really know much about you. However, if you've had it for 30 years, there's a pretty good track record of how you're predicted to behave. Next at 10% is going to be the credit mix. This is basically the different types of credit that you have. There are credit cards, there are loans, there are mortgages, there are auto loans. All of these are classified as something separate. Diversifying it shows that you can handle different forms of debt and makes you more trustworthy. And last is hard inquiries at 10%. This basically translates to how many times you apply for new credit. If you apply for a credit card every single day, approved or not, it affects your credit score, because if you're actively seeking credit, it's viewed as a red flag. So you should keep that to a minimum and only take out credit when necessary. There are a few exceptions to this rule. For example, if you are shopping for a mortgage and get quotes from multiple different lenders at different percentages, that will all be compounded into a single hard inquiry, so it doesn't overall impact your score too much. Now, the one thing that you don't have too much control over is the length of your average credit. Let's say that you're 40 years old and you start with credit and you make all your payments on time and everything's all good. Still, 15% is based on how long you've had credit. And if you haven't had credit very long, there's really nothing that they can do for you, which is why I feel it is extremely important to get credit ASAP. My story with credit is that I got my first credit card the day after my 18th birthday. Let me tell you the story. So before I was 18, I wanted to do a whole bunch of things. I wanted to open up accounts, credit cards, the whole 9 yards. And it pissed me off to no end that I couldn't do any of that until I turned 18 years old. The moment I turned 18, I went into the Chase branch near me and I wanted to apply for the Chase Freedom Student Card, which I will get into shortly. And they told me that their systems run a day behind, and I was still 17 years, 364 days in their system, and I would have to come back the next day. How ridiculous. I actually told the banker, and I was like, this problem must happen frequently because people must come in all the time on their 18th birthday to get their first credit card. And they laughed in my face. I then realized that I was the anomaly. Granted, the day after, I came back to the bank. I was like, all right, let's do it. I want to get my first credit card, Chase Freedom Student, here we go. Here's my ID, here's my information. Everything went through. Your boy got his first credit card, a limit of $1,300. And I've had this card for roughly 6 months now. Now, what I also did on my 18th birthday is I took out something called a secured loan. Now, again, 10% of your credit score is based on the different types of credit that you have. So while having a credit card and paying that off every month is great, you aren't really diversifying it. You only have one source of credit. So I took out what is called as a secured loan. Basically, it is a loan that you do not get access to until you pay it off. Sounds a little weird. Let me explain. So basically, there's a service out there called Self-Lender. This is what I personally use and am continuing to use. And basically, they will give you what is known as a microloan. So the one that I took was $625 paid over the course of 2 years, $25 per month for 2 years, $625. When you take out this secured loan, you don't get any of the money up front. Instead, you make a promise to self that you will pay $25 per month for the next 2 years, no matter what. You lose your job, you lose your home, doesn't matter. You owe them $25 per month for the next 2 years. At the end of the 2 years, what they do is they just send you all your money back. So you've paid $625 into this account, and then at the end, they give you all your money back. And that's why it's called a secured loan, because it's secured with self. You don't get access to it until you pay it all off. There is a one-time administrative fee of $15, but aside from that, you're basically paying $15 for a fantastic credit score. I have this set up on autopay, and every single month, on the 24th, I have $25 automatically withdrawn from my checking account to pay off the secured loan, and in July 2021, I will get my $625 back and 24 consecutive on-time payments reported in my credit profile. Building credit is extremely important, and these are the 2 ways that I suggest anyone starting out can do it. Anyone new to credit can get the Chase Freedom Student Card. I mean, it has student in the name, and anybody can get a secured loan because you don't get access to the money until you pay it all off. So these are the 2 things I suggest doing. And you're probably wondering, what are the results? You've now been doing these 2 things for 6 months. What's your credit score? Now, before I tell you what my score is, for those of you who are unfamiliar with how credit scores work, it goes on a scale from 300 to 850. 300 being you suck, 850 being you'll pay everything off, no problems, you're the best client that they could ever deal with. My score right now is a 727, which is considered good credit. I'm only about 100 points away from a perfect score. And if you have about a 750 or greater, you're pretty much going to get the best rates no matter what. Why your credit score matters is when you take out these loans, interest rates are going to be charged. It's how banks make their money. And your interest rate is largely dictated on what your credit score is. If you have a lower credit score, these banks are taking bigger risks with you because you're not 100% guaranteed to pay it back. But if you have an 850 credit score, well, it's pretty much a shoe in the hole, so they're only going to charge you a very, very small interest rate. So now let's move on to the products that I recommend. As stated before, I recommend the Chase Freedom Student Card. You should get this card as soon as you turn 18 years and 1 day old. Remember, systems run a day behind. You got to go the day after your birthday. And this card has some really good benefits for a student card. First of all, it is not a secured credit card. Typically, if you're new to credit, you will be required to make a down payment that will act as your credit limit. So if you default on the card, the bank has their money. With the Chase Freedom Student Card, there's no secure aspect to it at all. They just give you the credit limit. Now, in terms of cashback and rewards, this card offers you 1% cash back on every single purchase that you make with a $50 sign-up bonus, which again, you never see on a student card. Once you get the card and you make your first purchase, you get a free $50, just like that. If that wasn't good enough, you get a $20 anniversary bonus for the first 5 years you hold the card after making all your payments on time. So Chase is literally paying you to pay your bill on time. And banks don't want that. They want you to miss payments. They want you to be charged late fees, interest. This is how the banks make their money. But if you pay your bill on time every single month for the first 5 years, you will gain an additional $100. So that's a total of $150 paid over the course of the first 5 years that you have the card for being financially responsible. They also currently offer some other pretty sweet perks. They offer you a free Dash Pass subscription for 3 months So if you use DoorDash and order food, Dash Pass typically costs you $10, $12 a month. They give this to you for free for the first 3 months, and then for the next 9 months, if you want to continue using the service, you get a 50% discount. Also, if you are someone who uses rideshare, Lyft, they give you 5x points on all of your Lyft rides. So instead of getting 1% cash back, now you get 5% cash back. Your base one plus a bonus 4% on all of your Lyft rides. And again, this is stacked with all of the cash back you can earn from all of the apps I mentioned in my previous video. If you haven't watched it yet, click that eye because that will show you how to truly maximize all the cash back that there is available to you. The Chase Freedom Student Card also offers you an automatic credit limit increase after you make 5 monthly on-time payments. If you pay your bill in full for the first 5 months and your credit limit's $1,300, for example, they will automatically bump you to maybe $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000. And this really helps with your credit utilization score because your limit is so much higher, so that percentage of what you're using is a lot smaller. The next product that I highly recommend is the self-loan. $25 a month is not a lot of money, and to get it on your credit report as positive payment history can be extremely helpful. I highly recommend signing up for a secured loan with Self. The lowest they offer is $25 a month for 2 years, so $625 that you get back, by the way, after you pay it all off, and you only are charged a one-time administrative fee of $15. If you would like to sign up for the Chase Freedom Student Card, they do require you to go in branch. To learn more about the card, you can click the link in the description, and also to sign up for the self-loan, which again, really recommend, you can click the link in the description below to get started with that as well. Do not wait to build credit because credit is very helpful. Even putting 1 cheeseburger a month on a credit card every single month for 2 years is better than nothing. When you graduate college, you're gonna probably want an apartment, you're probably gonna want a car, and if you don't have any credit whatsoever, how is that person going to be trusting you, gonna know you're trustworthy? They're not. So it's very important to start building your credit score as soon as possible. I did it as soon as I turned 18, and you should too. Thank you guys so much for watching. I truly appreciate it. If you enjoyed it, make sure to slap the like button. Really helps out with pushing this video out to more people who could use it. And also, if you haven't subscribed yet, consider doing that as well. Lets me know that you're enjoying the content and that you'll continue to watch it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I truly appreciate it. You guys have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye.